Yo, what is going on everybody? It's me, Mrpremps, and I've just read the Bleach one shot and I am completely hyped. Now when rumour hit that in order to celebrate the 20th anniversary, a new chapter was going to drop, I don't think any of us expected this. We got some huge reveals, and right from the get-go, I'm going to drop a spoiler and let you all know that Bleach is back. And it will be returning with the Hell arc, which is going to be so hype. Now I'm not going to go through every moment that we got in this chapter, because I'm pretty sure if you're watching this video, you've pretty much read the chapter yourselves. But what I'll do right here is give a quick overview of the chapter and some of my thoughts of it too. But before I get started, of course, please make sure you leave a like on the video as it helps so much with the algorithm. And make sure you subscribe to the channel, as now that we have Bleach back, you don't want to miss out when I drop more Bleach content just like this. But you know what, let's forget about these formalities and let's talk about this chapter. And the chapter actually begins with Kazuy, which for those of you who might be unaware is Orihime and Ichigo's son. And without going into too much detail, Kazuy is far more in touch with his Soul Reaper powers at this young age than Ichigo was, because he's able to easily transform from human to Soul Reaper. And right here we get shades of the old Ichigo, as Kazuy leaves his room with Kon in order to visit a plus soul that is yet to be sent to the Soul Society. And it appears that Kazuy has the ability to open up a portal to the Soul Society, which seems pretty cool actually. But this was potentially just a teaser of what's to come in the present, because we go back in time about 3 hours ago, right to the Soul Society, and we learn that Ikkaku is the teacher, or should I say the master, of Ichiki, who is the daughter of Rukia and Renji, and it appears that she has the cheekiness and stubbornness of both of them too, as she is definitely a lively character. We do however get to see Renji, Ichigo and Rukia reunite again, and although this wasn't in person right away, we learn of the advancement of technology in both the world of the living and also the Soul Society, as they have what I would call their version of FaceTime, or probably just a normal video call. And Rukia is as funny as ever, as she seems so out of date, not realizing how far technology has improved. But I think the most important thing to highlight here is the tease we got before this chapter dropped, and that was the fact that Ichigo was invited to a ceremony in the Soul Society, and not a single one of us had a clue as to what this ceremony was. However, we do get a reveal here. It's a soul funeral festival, and it's something that takes place 12 years after the funeral of a captain who has died. And for those of you who read the 1000-year Blood War arc, you will know that there certainly was a few deaths there. But effectively in this ceremony, they have to capture a hollow from the world of the living, and then they've got to kill the hollow in front of said captain's grave. And of course, Renji and co are not completely familiar with this tradition, but it's explained very well that captains basically don't usually die, therefore it's a tradition that's not seen very much. And as we all know, when it comes to traditions, rules are normally broken by Ichigo. But Renji states that although the outsiders are not invited to this tradition, or this festival I should say, Ichigo is not seen as an outsider anymore, which is why he's been invited, and I'm just so happy to see this reunion between Ichigo, Rukia and Renji again. We are then introduced to Captain Kurochi, who we learn has been working on technical advancements to rival Urahara. We learn the Soul Society now has a TV, and even though he won't admit it, Kurochi does see Urahara as a rival, particularly when it comes to research and development. And he uses what some may deem unnecessary, but his hologram invention appears in front of all the divisions and lays an order that all the vice captains should go to the world of the living in order to capture a masked hollow for the first part of this ceremony. Ichika however is lurking in the background and overhears the order that has been given to the vice captains, and you just knew at this point she was going to get involved in some way, shape or form. And trust me, she does, so just hold on to that thought right there. Because at this point all of the vice captains have made their way to the world of the living, and it appears this may have been the first time in a long time, as Renji takes the lead in introducing Ichigo to the new vice captains. And whilst their guard is down, Ichika also appears but notices there's a huge hollow right behind her dad Renji and Ichigo, who were currently having a conversation, and Ichika is astonished as to why no one has noticed this hollow. And we actually find out here that there are many hollows around and none of the vice captains noticed, and this was because they do not have Ryetsu, and so the only way to sense them is literally to just see them. And I mean, at this point we were straight into the action of the vice captains against these new type hollows, and Kubo's done a fantastic job here, getting to see what some of the new vice captains can do as we go through a sequence of panels of each of them just showing out. And I mean, we're even introduced to the likes of Kira again. And with things appearing under control, and Renji about to scold Ichika for coming to the world of the living, Renji's legs are bound by some chains, and a figure begins to emerge from the ground. And we find out that it's actually Laporo, who, if I remember correctly, was the scientist of the Espada during the Arrancar arc. And my first thought was, what is he doing back here? I thought he was dead. But before we get into that, he tells us that he's basically back for revenge, and was going to start off by killing Renji's daughter, Ichika. And as he makes a beeline for Ichika, in comes Ichigo with the save, almost like deja vu, as we've seen this so many times before, and Ichigo tells Renji to literally get Ichika to safety. We then pan away back to the Soul Society, where the captains are waiting for the return of the vice captains, who are actually in the world of the living, and they notice that there's some Reishi-like aura floating in the air. And this was actually corrected by 1st Division Commander Kyoraku, who identifies it as a will-o-wisp, which comes from hell. And without going into too much detail again, he explains the difference between Reishi levels that are left behind once individuals from the Soul Society die, and that captains have a very high level of Reishi, and in unison at the same time, Laporo is giving the same explanation to the vice captains that are in the world of the living. And in this scenario, we learn that the captains that died in the 1000-year Blood War have such a high Reishi level due to them being too powerful that they're actually sent down to the depths of hell. Now Laporo receives a stab wound right through his body, and it appears that all of a sudden he's speaking to Ukitake, and he says that he's made an early arrival. He goes on to say that hell is nearby, and there's a reason that the butterflies that guide the Soul Reapers are called Hell Butterflies, before announcing that he'll return, and that brings the chapter to an end. And we're told that this is where the story will unfold, because Bleach will be back. And I am so pumped, because I never expected this whatsoever. Well, actually that's a bit of a lie, because I did do a previous video and I did think we'd get something, but this has definitely exceeded my expectations. I thought the story would lead more around Ichika and Kazuy, which it potentially still could, but this Hell arc is definitely set to return and I just can't wait. I think it appears that Ukitake is going to be our antagonist this time around, and I can't wait for this story to unfold. But honestly, if you've made it this far in this video, that's really dope, and I really appreciate it. But I'd like to ask you all not to forget to leave a like on the video, as it helps me out so much with that YouTube algorithm, and make sure you subscribe to the channel, because with this reveal, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be bringing you guys and girls Bleach content on a regular basis. And lastly, make sure you leave a comment on the video and let me know what you're all excited for and what you think this Hell arc will consist of. And that about does it from me. Save.